Hello and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. I am Yael Tygiel. I'm joined by Taylor Gates. Hello, Taylor.
Hello.
Hi. Are we at our normal time? Yes.
Yeah,
This is okay. Where is
you're not
everybody?
at your normal location. Yeah,
I'm
what
not.
the heck, guys?
Yeah.
Get in here.
Where are you people? It's 2 o'clock on a Sunday. Um, where else could you be? Oh, it's a holiday weekend. Okay. Anyway, hello.
Whatever. Not for me. I work tomorrow, so you guys have no excuse.
I am in a new location, as you can tell, and I apologize for all of it.
Is it your childhood bedroom?
It is not my childhood bedroom.
Oh, okay.
No, that bedroom doesn't exist, but this is my parents' place.
Okay. Because I
And
just see
so,
your name behind you, so I was like, that's cute.
yeah, that's mine.
I love it.
Yeah. Anyway, this is season 24, episode 14, Dutch Tears. Before we get into it, as a reminder, if you need the RAINN Hotline, their number is 1-800-656 4673. 1-800-656 4673. Taylor, tell us, what does 4673 spell?
It spells hope.
Does it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Try it for yourself. You'll see. Well,
All
don't
right.
actually call it, but look at the numbers.
Sure. Call it if you need it.
If you need it,
I
yes.
also because I'm not in my normal place, I didn't have my normal stuff, and I was like, oh, I got to pull up the hotline, and I went and looked, and it reminded me that there is like a whole chat thing available. So if you need to talk to somebody, you don't have to use your phone, you don't have to call, you can text. There's an app, there is a online chat. So check that out. That's RAINN. Before we get into everything with this episode, yes, we did see the news this morning that Richard Belzer, that is Detective Munch, has died, which is such a bummer. And honestly, like, what this episode was timed real nice with how
Yeah.
there was all this memories.
That I will say, and the fact that Ice-T just got his star on the Walk of Fame. Like, it was kind of crazy how timely this episode was for real life events in so many ways.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more about Munch and all that when it happened in the episode. Also, if this is your first time checking out SVU, this podcast is not like others. We will say some shit. This episode talked about prison violence, sexual assault, things like that. Please consider this your content warning. We're going to say some things, and this show might not be for you. But before we get into that, we have people chatting with us live. Strong Girl Arby is here, Lizette is here, Zach is here, Taylor is here, not you, Taylor, other Taylor. Danny is here, and Alexa, hello, welcome. If you want to join us live in the chat, that is Sundays at 2 p.m. Pacific. You can chat with us right here on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify or wherever, you cannot live chat with us there, but you can leave us ratings and reviews on iTunes. There are no new ratings and reviews this week, so I will not be doing that voice. So there's that.
The way you were like, where is everyone? And then everyone spoke up in the chat because they were scared. That's right. It's called roll call.
Don't be afraid of me, people. I'm nice. Also, if you hear voices in the background, that's my parents.
Hey.
I warned them that they can make as much noise as they want, but anything they say will be documented forever.
Yeah, so watch it. Don't be talking shit about me.
It would be really funny if they talk shit about
that.
us.
Would be so funny, and I would honestly really have a laugh at that.
All right, well, let's jump into this episode and the question that really is haunting everyone.
Yeah.
The fuck is going on with the pickles?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
No, let's get to it now. I want to start with the pickles.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So, here's the thing.
Go, hit me.
I'm thinking they were going for symbolism, but like, what a strange metaphor. Because like, okay, listen, I'm an English major, so I can look at metaphors everywhere. So I'm like, okay, so we can't open it at the beginning. He's struggling, and then at the end, oh, he finally does. So it's like it was like unfinished business, And I swear to God, that's what I'm pretty sure they were trying for. Why pickles? I don't know. It was weird, but I really think it was like, yeah, unfinished business. He found the strength to blah, blah, blah. I feel like that's just kind of what it was meaning. Or it was an inside joke with Ice-T that they wanted to throw in there.
Right. So I was like, is this another coffee bagel situation where iced tea had never had coffee or a bagel until Coffee Meets Bagel forced him to? Or is there like a new pickle thing that we are not aware of? It does not seem to be the case. I agree with you that there is a metaphor about his struggles and him being stuck and him being able to release whatever he needed to, except that it wasn't like he had this thing weighing on him. He didn't even know it existed.
No.
So the metaphor doesn't work.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just, I'm trying to read the English lit version interpretation of it. What would I grade it? Maybe like a D, but it maybe was there, it maybe was there.
I'm going to open the question to the chat. If you're watching us live, the fuck was with the pickles?
And I will say, hint, hint, maybe our poll has something to do with that too this week.
I cannot wait to get to the poll. It's so funny, speaking of the poll, I haven't seen it yet, but I 100% had to rewrite my format for what our show is. And so if I miss a segment today, please let me know, because I didn't have any of my things ready. But I did remember we do a poll, and I'm ready for the other one that we always forget.
Me
so that's
too.
exciting.
I have so many good things to say. Talk about that.
All right. So we're celebrating Finn's 22 years of SVU. Interestingly, I appreciate the note that Rollins and Phoebe were both working, and that's why they were not there. Appreciate it.
However, cop out. Get him there. Sorry, it's true.
Daryl says, I feel like the pickle is connected to Munch.
How?
I will say that sounds... No, I'm not going to say it. I don't know. My dad's laughing at something, and I don't know what, and it's really loud. He says, maybe the two both liked pickles, and he left it for Munch. Oh, I see. All right. Perhaps.
But we should have known that then. We should have stated that. That's not the callback that I remember, at least, that we saw in previous episodes. No, that has to be clear then. Sorry, that's the rules.
I do like the idea that Daryl's they like pickles. That's what it is. I like this theory, Daryl.
I like it too. I think it's a great theory, but I think that they should have, if it's indeed the case, they need to tell us that.
Sure. All right, let's talk about our guy, Ivan Hernandez, Dutch. I'll tell you this. The promo for the episode really was the first 3 minutes. It was, we're celebrating Finn. He goes home. He's held at gunpoint. And the guy was like, do you remember me? I assumed that it was going to be so similar to previous episodes, like the one where Finn is called a hero in the newspaper, and a woman shows up and is like, actually, he left my daughter to die with drug dealers. Or, like an Amaro situation that they came back and there's a family he forgot about. I expected that. So I'll tell you that a kid who was arrested for drugs, who then got turned out in prison, was not what I expected. And a fascinating twist. I really enjoyed that story. Being told on the show, not in general, that is not a story I like.
No, I feel you. And I don't think I saw the promo, but I did know that it was connected to Finn and something about how someone from his past was coming back. So I kind of thought that the whole episode was going to be Ivan as the antagonist and him trying to take him down, or having the hostage sort of situation, him holding him at gunpoint.
Yeah.
Be pretty much the whole episode. We've seen, which one of my favorites, the guy from Shameless, in that apartment holding people hostage. So I was like,
Father's Shadow?
Yeah, great episode. Wow, the fact you knew the episode title and I didn't is really...
It's because I think of Father's Shadow and Producer's Backend. I think I mixed those up.
Because the titles could be switched easily for those.
And now I'm no longer sure which one's which, but go on.
No, you're right. That's Father's Shadow. You're right. Which is a great episode, but I didn't want to see it again. And so I'm glad we didn't see it again.
I almost thought that it was going to be the way that the way that it happened, I was like, oh, is it going to be the entire episode is them just in the thing? And then we wouldn't, like, it would be very little outside, like a bottle episode. And I was like, all right, I'm not in the mood for this and I don't want it, but fine. But then that wasn't it, which I really enjoyed. Also, I will say, I think Ice-T as an actor has grown a lot over the years. The scenes where Finn is drunk and being held at gunpoint and trying to figure out who this guy is did not work for me.
I like agree. I'm glad. I think it worked for what it was to get us somewhere else, but I agree that like if they would have went the bottle episode route, I had the same fear as you, and I was like, I don't think this is gonna be like, it's hard. Like those are hard to pull off anyway, and with like some new person we don't even know that I don't think that would have been the move, and so I'm glad they didn't take it that direction. Like, I don't know, there's ways that it can be done well. Like, what was it, part 33 or something, where they're all like waiting to testify? That's kind of a model episode, which conflicting feelings on that. But
how dare you compare to that?
No, it's an interesting premise though, when you're all in one thing. I'm saying like that's was a choice. There was like a rotating floor of people coming in and out. It's harder to do when there's only two people because you have to have different turns and changes. And I just don't know that would have been the way to go. So I'm glad they didn't. But I think it was an interesting starting point.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's townhouse incident or it's something happened. And I'm really glad that it wasn't, especially because Ice-T didn't feel like Finn again to me until he was like, I can help you with this. And then I was like, there's Finn. The whole like, whoa, there's a guy with a gun, to this is what happened to me, and Finn going, I can help you. That whole section, I went, this isn't working. But after that point, I was invested. I really liked the like way that we like got the exposition where Finn was like, who are you? And he was like, you put me away. And he's like, okay, why? And he's like, it was this year.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, okay. So I was in narcotics. Okay. So obviously it was drugs. Okay. So like them breaking it down, that was an interesting way, instead of having him be like, you put me away for this and that, and this is what happened, you know?
Yeah. I like that he like sort of got him talking even when he was under threat. Like, I don't know, that kind of showed off his skills. I feel like he's not just gonna piss him off. He's like, okay, well then tell me that detail so I can get to that detail. Like, it was a smart, and it showed his growth as like a detective too. I think like being able to piece and know how to like calm people down in the situation, because he had an inkling, I think, that something deeper was going on, or else I don't know, at some point I think he had that inkling before he like opened up about it.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, there was a part where Finn, like reading through my notes. Okay, so when he gets the guy to talk, when he gets Ivan to talk to him, Dutch to talk to him about it, and there's a question that he asks. He says, explain something to me. You say that you were assaulted many times by many guys. Why do you only want to go after cream cheese? Which, first of all, brilliant name. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that's the question you want to ask? Here's my question I want to ask. Dutch, you have explained to us that you were forced to grow your hair out, wear it in pigtails, wear makeup, dress up. You were forced to do these things in prison. I'm not doubting that. My question is, why didn't you cut your hair when you got out? That would have been the first thing I would have done.
It's kind of a good look on him, though. And that's coming from someone super gay. Like, I just thought it was good. I thought they looked good.
Yeah.
Good for him.
The idea was to feminize him. Of course you thought it was a good look. The point is...
got me there. He wore it well. He's reclaiming his masculinity.
I love that. If that was the answer to that, I would love it.
That's my theory.
I just wish that question was asked.
Do I think it's true and what they were going for? Absolutely not. But that's what is going to be canon in my mind now, is he is like through toxic masculinity, which is like, not to go off topic, but that conversation is so insane to me right now. Like, I'm seeing all these tweets about Jonathan Majors, who like is like peak, like, I don't know. I get it, I get it. But like, he was wearing this like pink jacket on a magazine, and all the, of course, like conservative people are like, what are they doing to our men? It's like, what are you talking? Like, have you seen him? Like, he's a man, I just think it's crazy. Like, the whole thing about masculinity right now is just nuts to me. Anyway, I just had to point that out.
I mean, I appreciate that you point that out. And honestly, I really wish that was the answer. Like, that would have been such a great answer.
Yeah.
The fact that no one asked is shocking to me. But I think that Finn's question of why just the one guy totally makes sense. Fair question, good question. Look at that. Finn asks a good question. That's shocking. He's a detective or a sergeant. Sorry.
Yeah. Whoa.
So then they wonders why what the H stands for. And he says, for all you know, the guy's name is Harry, like that one. But it then takes us to Dutch is like, I don't want to wait till tomorrow. We got to do it now. Finn's drunk.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to Finn be like, I'm drunk. No.
Also, like, it's only a few hours, really. Like, I'm assuming he's home pretty late. It's probably like 11 midnight by that point.
Sure.
Like, you can start working at like 7 o'clock, and that's like pretty reasonable. Like,
yeah,
give him a minute.
He's drunk. Also, I don't want a drunk sergeant working on my case. Anyway, we like get the guys. Jumping ahead. We get the captain of the CO, Captain Ryan, the wife in the sober living facility. No, that wasn't doing it for me.
No, it was such a weird transition way to get other places.
Yeah. And then the guy that the CO's wife came to see got away. And no one knows who that was or why. And I was like, why are we pretend like that's not how police works,
Yeah. I didn't like that part.
There was like a lot of this episode that I did like, and then a lot of it that I didn't.
Yeah. It just felt so unnecessary. Like, there just has to be point A to point B, an easier way to do that than this whole debacle.
What's also really interesting, I think, about this episode is there was a discussion about the tombs, and we've heard about the tombs for many, many years on SVU. And I did some research about the tombs for us. It made me think of when Isabel used to host the show and have Isabel's Info Corner. Nice. So first of all, for anyone who's not familiar, the tombs is the colloquial name for the Manhattan Detention Complex. It is a municipal jail in Lower Manhattan, and it is also the nickname for 3 previous city-run jails in the former 5 Points neighborhood of Lower Manhattan, an area now known as the Civic Center. Originally, the tombs was known as the Halls of Justice. There's more information about why it's called that, but what's actually interesting to me is the idea that on this show they have said the tombs are closed now. And I feel like that is something that hasn't been like addressed or brought up. Like, when did they close and why did they close? And I'll tell you what's even more interesting. Their closure seems to be, whether it's true or not, and it's possible that it is true. I can't seem to find any like confirmation of this is the day they closed, because it was supposed to close in 2020. And we all know lots of things that were supposed to happen in 2020 got suspended or pushed or canceled.
Yeah.
So in October of 2020, the tombs were supposed to close the next month. I found this article. It says, New York City's plan to close the jails on Rikers Island and replace them with the borough-based alternatives has been delayed by the coronavirus, budget woes, and community opposition. But at least part is moving forward. So the tombs are going to shut sometimes in November. But as of November 2020, I could not find really like anyone being like, the tombs closed today.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah. So are they closed? Great question. I assume, I mean, we're not there. We don't work in law enforcement and we're not in New York. So I assume that the people involved in the show can confirm that they are.
Yeah, I don't
But
think they would have written that in if it wasn't true.
But it's still weird that like
That is weird.
the situation seems odd.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, I'm scrolling through my notes. I want to talk about the part where Bruno didn't shoot the guy. Not to like jump to lines, but I need this pointed out. He says, because even though I'm rich, I like my pension, as to why he didn't shoot someone. First of all, this man does not know that you're rich.
Right.
I would have been like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? And second of all, I don't think that's the message cops should be giving out. Right? It's like, I don't want to ruin my pension. I'm not going to shoot a guy. No, we don't shoot people for no reason.
I mean, I'm going to give it to him because this was clearly just like a sassy Bruno line.
Sure. But still.
Yeah, I was fine with it because I knew he was kidding. Like,
I think the show could do better, and that's all. I agree with you. It was a sassy, fun line, but like, first of all, that guy doesn't know you're rich.
I mean, I know, but like we the audience do. I think we're gonna like give it a bit of
no.
Why not?
That's where I'm holding.
You want him to give a whole speech about how he's rich?
No, because I think that it would have been even funnier to have Dutch go, what? Like, I think it would have like,
yeah.
Like, oh, I'm rich. Never mind. Like, oh, you don't have this context. Never mind.
Yeah, I liked it.
Fine.
I liked it as is.
Look, as Daryl said earlier when we were talking about the pickles, when in doubt, the explanation got cut for time.
That's a good point, actually. We've seen that time and time again, actually. Completely confused because there was a deleted scene that we didn't see.
Yeah. Oh, so silly. All right. Finn and Bruno have some touching time together, which we've been saying since we met Bruno that like their connection reminds us of Munch. So it's really nice to have this moment, and what a timely moment it was. And to get an update as to where Munch is, right? So in the Wolf universe, Munch is back in Baltimore. He met a divorced female rabbi and bought back his old cop car. I think that's really wonderful. And then
I loved it.
Yeah, Bruno was flattered by the comparison, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, and I was like, I was like, it's kind of interesting that we have like this new guy so prominently featured in a big Finn episode because, like, I don't know, I feel like the maybe easier, more expected option would be like Cam and Olivia working side by side as they always have been. But I think that bringing up Munch here, it was very clear that they are trying to like build that bromance between them, and I feel like it was almost a little bit risky because he is so new, and so having him be his partner in like such an important episode for him could have been like, why are you trying to give this, you know what I mean, this new guy all this airtime with something that's so important for him? But I liked it, and I like Bruno, and I think that it paid off and worked well, and I liked that choice in the end.
Let me ask, do we like Bruno more than Muncie and Velasco?
Velasco, yes, like easy for me. Muncie, I don't know. Like, I'm a Muncie stan. I'm a Muncie girly.
Really?
But here's the thing. I liked Amanda season 13 too, when no one else did. Everyone was like, who is it? But I don't know. I just love a scrappy, like insolent, younger, like female detective. Like, I just love that as a trope. So I like Muncie. I like them in different ways, frankly. I think they're completely like bring different stuff to the table that I'm interested in. I'm interested in both.
That's so interesting. Yeah, Bruno over Velasco 100%. Especially now with whatever bullshit's going on there. But I look, I liked Amanda when we first met her. We weren't doing the show then, so there's no evidence whether I felt that way or not at the time. But I think I mean, I'm pretty sure the first time we meet her, I loved her when she gets off the elevator and is like, I'm your new detective. And he's like, well, I got to run. And she's like, all right, someone hold this. Okay, I'm coming with you. Like that was, what a fantastic introduction. Muncie, I don't like. I liked her in that one scene where she convinced that girl to tell her all the info. I liked that. I mean, that's the Muncie I like.
The truth of the matter is she is a replacement for Kat, pretty much 1-to-1. Like, honestly, with their background and their attitudes, it's true. Do I prefer Kat still? Yeah, I do. But I will say, like, at least we have someone with that energy back, I guess. Because you're right. Like, honestly, like, I mean, you didn't say it, but Amanda and her are more separate and different than Kat and her. She and Kat are so
sure. But the way that we met the first episode with Kat, like, if you remember correctly, it's when we met Sir Toby and he she was like, don't come in till I say the words, and he's choking her and she's like, why'd you come in?
Yeah, no.
That was the Kat that won me over.
But I'll say, like, I mean, Kat's introduction was for sure stronger, but I think they have the same sort of potential.
Sure, but I
didn't get that potential, which is
we haven't seen it. Like, that's the thing. You're right, is that they do have the same potential, but Kat, they let us see the potential, and Muncie, they're like, there's potential.
Right. We need to see it. I agree with you that we need to see it. I like her because I think that there's like a lot of ways that they could go with her and a lot of interesting storylines, but I agree with you that I want to see it. Like, we got Bruno, and Bruno's newer than Muncie. We got fun Bruno many times in these past couple episodes with the watch, with this, with his lines. Like, we've gotten, you know, Muncie on the vending machine, which is like fun, but like, let her actually step up and do something. And I like that she's messy and make mistakes, but like, let her win sometimes too. Like, give her some W's in there as well, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you do love the messy mistakes.
Yeah.
I love them when they lead to a win.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Let's let it lead to a win, and then I think
like,
it'll pay off.
Rollins, gambler's fallacy, messy mistake, led to a win, and then also led to Donna Logue joining the cast. So like, total win.
Yeah.
Muncie can keep fucking up if it's going to lead to a win. I think also what's pissing me off about Muncie, not to like derail our entire conversation, is that she pulled a Cassidy on the stand. And like, we don't need that. We already have Cassidy who does that. So do better on the stand. We can't, I don't want that.
Yeah, but we didn't even get to see her like on the stand again to see if she learned from that.
Right,
and
we
also
haven't seen her
died with what's his face, and so that's just an immediate dock on her. Who's the guy that died? I don't even remember his name. We saw him way too much this past episodes in the Bronx.
Duarte.
Yeah, she's like sort of tied with him, so like you're on thin ice already because you came from that guy. But so separate yourself.
Even her like switching teams and being like, I am on Team Benson, where she was like, Captain, not you, to him. Like, even that, you still haven't won me over yet, Muncie. Like, please win me over. And I don't mind the messy mistakes. I just need them to be worth it.
Like, give her an episode that is focused. Why did we have Duarte have 3 episodes when he was gonna die and wasn't on our team? You know what I mean? We should give those to her and you know, give her a chance.
All right, back to this episode, which I appreciate that neither she nor Velasco were involved.
Yeah, they deserve to be. Sorry, they're too new though.
I mean, Bruno is also, but like,
yeah,
anyway.
They don't have that connection with him though.
Let's talk about the CO and cream cheese. Because at some point we got the cream cheese's name and I don't care. So
no.
Apparently the CO and cream cheese grew up together, and the whole like storyline was that the CO was like, it was hard to maintain order, and so I'd call him to help because he's the biggest, scariest guy. And I'm trying to like understand the mentality there, because as Tari, who watched this with me, kept pointing out, He was 17 with a broken arm and was like scrawny. So overpowering him isn't like maintaining any order because he's not.
Well,
He
that's
can't do
not why
anything.
though. I don't think he was trying to maintain order over the kid, like the 17-year-old. I think that was because he maintained order with the other scarier guys.
Oh, this was like
Guy
his.
had free reign
I
to
see.
mess with him and for like his own enjoyment. I think it was two separate things, but like tied. Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense because I was like, oh, was this his way of being like, look what I'm going to do to him? You could be next. Because I'd be like, yeah, obviously you could do that to him. He's a broken bird. Like,
right.
Not,
no, I think because he did
it's like
that,
a reward.
like I'm gonna look the other way while you do whatever you want to these scrawny people and
I see.
have fun with it. Essentially, yeah.
That makes more sense. Thank you.
Of course.
Happy
to help.
I really enjoyed, although I really was annoyed that Dutch could not place any of the faces and like was very obnoxious about it. I did like the way that they brought the fire marshal and the gas leak to get people out.
Like, I'm sorry, I didn't like. I understand what they were going for with like, oh, I remember when he lit the brand, whatever.
Oh, but then we're like, they focused it on the one guy.
They focused, yeah. First of all, it was very leading. Like that's, and Carice was like, yeah, that's fine. No, it's not. That was completely leading, and like you told them pretty much essentially. And also, like they didn't focus on his hands. He's like, oh, I'll never forget his face when he did that. What? Like you saw his face earlier. Why don't we like focus on the hand part of it? If that was like he didn't recognize, like if he recognized his hands, I'd have been like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Holding the lighter, blah blah blah. He's like, I'll never forget his face after he did that. Then why did you not recognize his face earlier on the camera? Like I didn't get that at all. I think that should have been like, oh, I'll remember those hands anywhere, which is also even more interesting to me too. If it's like, you know, he remembers snapshots of like the hand, the fire, like that would have made sense. I hate that they did the face. I don't think that makes any sense.
I agree. I think also like it's too dark. I can't see. Okay, we're not going to do anything about that. But also, the like it could be any. Look at everybody's face, and then have Bruno go to one dude and be like, "Hey, you stranger." The same dude that they were like, "Is it that guy?" They were real. It was the most leading thing.
It was not. Court should now have been like, sure. No, they should throw that out. I'm sorry.
And then also he like attacks him and he's choking him. And there are like, what, 5 cops? Carisi, first of all, doesn't do anything. But also there are like 5 cops and they're like, stop.
Don't do that. Seriously, please.
Let him go. Remember your bet.
He's still not stronger than the other guy, too. Like, let's be honest. Like, the other guy could have pushed him off. I just don't buy that he's pinned up against. Come on. He could have been like, and you're left.
Alexa in the chat says that was not a good idea at all. Would it hold up in court? No, I think it 100% would not hold up in court. But I think more importantly, they got a deal. Like they pled him out. The idea that the captain, the CO, and Cream Cheese, both of them, like they talk too much to the cops. Like you guys should know better. Once you've been to prison, you know not to talk to cops.
Yeah, you'd think.
I feel like I get really annoyed when criminals are stupid.
I'm with you.
Yeah. In the end, Dutch gets probation and therapy for the gun. And then he meets his daughter, and I'm going to say the meanest thing I think I've ever said. Her mom must be beautiful.
Here's the thing.
Yes?
You
agree?
I'm not touching that. I was about the actual scene. Like, yeah, it's a beautiful moment. I feel like we have these particular moments all the time now, and it's kind of boring. Like, it's kind of feels like a cop-out ending. I don't know. Maybe that's like and here's the thing, I can't actually even remember a specific instance of this, but I do feel like we're bombarded with it. Like the end is, oh, they're reuniting with their children. Well, like she was not really an important part of his like story before this.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a good payoff to me because he wasn't talking about her all the time. You know what I mean? He mentioned her like once or twice.
He only
I feel
mentioned
like,
her when Finn was like, I know you have a daughter. And he's like, how do you know that? And he's like,
yeah,
'cause I looked it up.
I just was like, okay, it would have hit harder if he was like so adamant about like talking about her. It just didn't feel like the, whoa, like such a beautiful moment because it didn't feel that important. Like, not to say it wasn't important to him, it probably was. But again, I feel like you have to kind of tell the audience that for it to feel like it matters in any big way.
I agree, but my complaint is actually that I feel like we keep having the case wrap up with Carisi going, here's what like happened, as opposed to a trial, which is the second part of Law and Order. Like, we want
Yeah.
to see the trial, especially because this trial, the ID was no good. It would have been thrown out.
It's like too nice and neat.
Yeah. It felt like this entire episode was like, we need to give a happy story.
Right. Which, like, okay, but show us some complications or more stakes, higher stakes.
Because like the case itself was interesting, right? Like what happened to Dutch was interesting. And then they were like, okay, well, let's wrap it up real pretty.
Right. With the scene with characters I don't particularly feel invested in.
I'm going to give some shout outs to some actors. So the daughter, Tara, was played by Sophie Hoyt. We're starting there because I stand by my statement that the mother must have been beautiful.
So mean.
I said it. Our cream cheese was played by Mark Basil, or Basil. I'm going to say this. He is not labeled as cream cheese. He was given a name.
That's ridiculous. If I was that actor, I'd be so pissed. I'd be like, I want to put on my resume I was cream cheese. Okay? Change it.
Virgil the Hangman Hatton. I will say the fact that it's not / cream cheese, people are going to watch this episode, look it up and be like, wait, who played cream cheese?
Yeah, criminal.
Let's see. Captain Ryan was Mark Borkowski. Dutch was played by Richard Cabral. A lot of people probably know him from, I'm guessing, Mayans. He was on FBI, which is another Dick Wolf show. Alexa says that our episode was wrapped up with a pretty bow and a pickle.
So true, Alexa.
The most accurate, because we came back to the end. My note at the end says, the pickle again? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the episode, or should we get to lines?
Lines.
All right, let's get to lines.
Yep.
I have quite a few.
So
I want to start with one that I think is very touching, and like I think should be the munch of it all. So, in memory of Richard Belzer, that skinny bastard had a punchline for every second of the day.
That's true.
It's so accurate and so beautiful and like the most perfect description. Okay, ready. Does Pinocchio have little wooden balls? Does Pinocchio have little wooden balls? I want that on a shirt.
Can I do a follow-up to that?
Yes.
Bruno sounds like a dog's name.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It went together, so I was like, I might.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, so I have a note on this one. I've been looking through a couple dozen bald guys with dad bods. I'm losing my appetite. Here's my note. Hilarious, but we don't body shame here.
Yeah, but it did feel in character for him. So
hilarious. Very funny, but just a note. And just to make sure that I'm very clear with my we don't body shame, that skinny bastard was not a body shame. It was fact about Munch.
Yeah, he would claim that.
He would claim that. What I don't trust are people who are careless with their bullets. I think that is a message for all police.
But behind every bullet is a lesson. We learned that a couple of weeks ago.
That is true. Good call. But also, my last one, I always called him cream cheese. It's not like he introduced himself.
Good point, actually.
Yeah. Well, most of mine are Dutch lines.
Yeah.
All right, hit me.
Okay. Recognition looks good on you. Better than a lawsuit. Do I look familiar? No, but I'm sure you'll refresh my memory.
Nice.
This is one of my favorite ways to like tell how long ago this happened. They sell lock picking sets on Amazon, but Amazon wasn't even a thing when you put me away. I was like, what a weird transition. I was here for though.
Yeah.
This might be my favorite. You were carrying a ton of drugs in the school zone, and then they like had the conversation about how it was 4 a.m. There was no little kiddies around. Which I thought was just so funny. Like, good point actually. Like lumpy cream cheese head, just classic. Yeah,
we need to talk about that because cream cheese is smooth.
Right, you think cottage cheese maybe is what
So
you
not only would you think cottage cheese, but also when we saw the guy, I was confused because I imagined somebody else.
right.
And also lumpy. Cream cheese is smooth, people. It's cream cheese. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Go on.
Not a line, but when they were interrogating the guy, I don't even remember his role, but they were like, "It's this guy," and he turns around.
Oh,
and
the camera!
And it's on himself. It was so funny.
Yes.
Maybe she just developed a drinking problem. You have that effect on people. This one actually was like sad and like poignant. I thought my mind defaults to the catastrophic after being in it for so long. I was like, that's actually really sad.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good line. At least we're past the bagel phase of this investigation. They're talking about the coffee. That's all Benson. She's into that hazelnut stuff. And finally, it's just like peak Finn is don't die on me now, dude. You gotta take this guy down. Loved it.
Really, honestly, for an episode that we found so many problems with, the lines were good.
Lines were good. Solid.
Yeah, some solid lines. Okay, so before the poll, I checked. We did not have any new reviews on iTunes, but if you would like to leave us a review on iTunes, we request that you leave us 5 stars if you like us, 4 stars if you don't. The other stars are still broken. I have sent a message to Apple and they don't care. So 5 stars or 4 stars. And if you leave 4 stars, you have to tell us what we can do to improve. And if it is the audio, well, we've improved. I don't know if we'll improve much more.
Now, okay? I invested.
I'm traveling and have a lav, so that's a lapel mic. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful microphone. Also, what else did I want to tell people? Oh, I watched Organized Crime. I'm caught up. My parents were like, this isn't SVU. I thought you have to do SVU for your show. And I was like, no, I also have to sit through crap for everyone to let them know that there's nothing. You missed nothing. That said, I think it was Daryl, but it may have been someone else. So I apologize if I'm getting the credit wrong. Last episode was a great episode in the context of a shitty show and a pretty bad season. But last episode was pretty good. This episode for this week, which I watched, even though I'm traveling, You're All Welcome, had nothing to do with anything and it sucked. And I hate it. And I will sit through that show for you. You're welcome.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. I appreciate being appreciated. My parents also warned me not to keep saying that the show sucked, but I can't help it. Where were we?
You come here for true opinions. Okay?
That's true. People want to hear what we think.
Yes.
Daryl says we appreciate what you do, Yael. Thank you. That's why I sit through it now. All right. What did we learn of the poll first?
Let's do what did we learn? Because I have some real things, and then because the poll's ridiculous this week.
Okay.
As it is every week, let's be
honest. All right. What did we learn? First, I learned today that Richard Belzer lived in France. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the story of how he got his chateau is crazy. Do you know it?
No.
I read it on Twitter today, so like take it with a grain of salt. I'm not sure it's real, but it feels real for him. Is he had Hulk Hogan on his like interview show? I guess he had like a talk show, and he had him like put him in some headlock thing that made him pass out and like hit his head on the floor. So he sued him for a bunch of money, and that's how he bought his chateau in France, and he named it Chateau Hogan. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know 100% sure that it's real, but I did read that today, and I feel like it could be.
I mean, sure. I also read about like how Munch came to be, that he was in the like homicide Law and Order crossover.
Yeah.
And that Dick Wolf loved the character so much. He was like, this character has to be an original character on SVU. That's amazing. And like, I know that Munch was, I don't know if he still is, but I'm pretty sure he was the like longest, I guess, before Benson hit it, like the longest running character because he'd been on so many shows.
I think he is still the person who's been on the most different shows as the same character. If I'm not mistaken, unless Benson with organized crime and stuff surpassed that. But I don't, well, and then with the Chicago shows and stuff too, but I don't know what counts with like crossovers.
Right. I don't either, but I mean, regardless, right? Like she's been doing it 24 years, 24 seasons, whatever. But like still, the idea that he played the same character on 4 different shows, I believe, was incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I love the like clip that's going around of his like last time on the show in 2016, which is when he taught Noah to question authority and ask why. Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, great message.
That torch. When
to be
Noah
fair,
grows up to be a Munch character because of that, what then?
That'd be great. Yeah. Daryl says that the Hogan story is real according to Wikipedia with references to case notes. Thank you, Daryl. He knows that we love our sources here.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. So that was one thing that I learned. The other thing that I learned is, and this I did not look up, but you said it also based on the quote, that you can buy I assume you can, lock picking kits on Amazon.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up right now.
It's scary that they told everyone that, frankly.
Lock picking kit.
The CIA is about to bust your door down.
I have looked up weirder shit. Friends, you can 100% buy lock picking kits on Amazon. And they're not expensive. So there's that.
Terrifying.
You're welcome. That's what I learned. What did you learn?
I learned 2 things. I thought it was really interesting with the like somatic reaction they were talking about, how like your body will remember something that your mind doesn't, which I feel like I kind of like knew just out in the world.
We've seen this before.
But yeah, like talking about like putting a name to it and talking about it in respect to this, I thought was really interesting. So I like how we just like brought that up. I always like it when we bring up new techniques and sort of like psychological aspect. And then what a Dutch tear is, I thought was kind of fascinating too, when he described how it was like the molten glass and the water and how like it's really strong, but if you like touch the end of it, like it'll break really. I'm like what are they used for? Is it like a art thing?
I think it's an art thing.
Okay. I thought that was really cool.
I agree. I think that's very interesting. I'm actually looking up right now if it's what I think it is. Yeah, it's 100% what I think it is. So that's cool. Yeah, look up the picture. I was like, this sounds like this, but I could be making that up. It's a very cool thing. I think I'm glad that they explained it and went over all that, because at first I was like, this title, I was like, where's this title going? It seems like it's not going well.
Yeah. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, that's very cool. Awesome. If you are in the chat live with us, let us know if you learned anything this episode. I like that this show is edutainment.
Yes.
And even if SVU isn't, our podcast is.
Exactly.
We may not be doing the true crime stuff or the like episode discussion stuff, but we are teaching you crap. All sorts of bullshit. Okay. Taylor, tell us about the weekly poll.
So last week we wanted to know how you all liked our new man Bruno Moneybags. So only 2% hate him. So that's pretty good. 2%, that's like no one. 33.3% think he's like fine, which like fair enough. He's new, he's got to earn his place. And 64.7% love him already. Maybe I'll do this poll like in next season and see if that's changed. That could be interesting to see.
I was just thinking, like, has that changed in this episode where we got even more of him?
I feel like no. I feel like he's pretty consistent. I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
This week's poll is just so important. I want to know, do you know what the fuck was going on with that jar of pickles? So the first is, it was clearly symbolism.
Okay.
Your second option is no, literally, what the fuck was that? Right now we're tied 50-50. And so I'm really curious what people have to say.
Amazing.
I don't know what I would vote if I had to, because I do think I know what they're going for, but also, what was that? You know, like I'm kind of on the fence. I'm excited to see what people think.
I'm torn because, like, yeah, obviously they're trying to make a metaphor, but also, what the fuck?
But also, why that particular metaphor? Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it comes back.
Me too. I'm not the one who stopped the captain with the pickle.
Maybe it ties to that. Maybe he's going to stab Benson with the pickle.
I would love that episode. Give it to me right now.
Oh my God, so funny. We'll tell you where to find the poll in just a minute. Taylor, this show, I love it. I love that we talk about it. I love that we do this. We didn't talk about this before we got on the air, so I'm going to ask you on the air and you can decide.
Okay.
There's a new episode next week. What if we do the show an hour earlier?
I think that, let me pull up my Google Calendar right now. Like, just putting me on the spot.
I know. I was going to ask you before we started. I'm sorry.
What's the 26th? I think that works. I don't have anything on my calendar, so sure, let's do it.
Okay. So.
No, wait, next week. Yeah, the 26th.
Yeah. So this is the announcement.
Sure.
For everybody. Next week, we're going to be an hour earlier. If there is an episode the week after that, we're going to take a break because I'm going to be out of the country. So you heard it here first. Join us next week at 1 p.m. Pacific.
I literally just put it on my calendar too, so I don't forget.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Sure.
Cool. Okay. Until next week, Taylor, where are you on the internet and where can everyone find the poll?
Find me and the pickle poll on Twitter at alphaba_in, or find me and unfortunately not the pickle poll on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
Beautiful. I am Yael Tygiel. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That is YAELTYGIEL. You can find me on Thursdays on Electric Now for After the Arc, the official after show for the Arc. If you checked out Leverage Redemption, you can check out the official Leverage Redemption after show also on Electric Now. If you watch Star Trek Picard, a sci-fi show on Paramount Plus, check out my interview with Todd Stashwick. Even he remembers that he was on SVU and brought it up. I didn't.
I don't play that, so I'm going to go and see proof.
Yeah, he said it because he remembered that he was in Undercover in season 9. And I was like, you were in season 1, episode 3. He played the measuring man. Great episode. All right. So check that out. It's on this channel, FANVERSATION's channel. If you're listening to the podcast, go to YouTube. Okay, I think that's everything. And now I'm going to go have a late lunch with my parents. Bye, everybody.
Bye.